Late yesterday, investigators swarming Nancy Guthrie's home in a renewed search for clues in the disappearance of Savannah's mom. The multi-agency team, including FBI agents, sheriff's deputies, and a Border Patrol canine unit, entering the property behind new yellow crime scene tape. It's the first time we've seen this type of activity since the 84-year-old went missing early this week. And overnight, Savannah and her siblings, Annie and Cameron, releasing that heart-wrenching video. Two people briefed on the investigation say the FBI special agent in charge was seen at a Guthrie family home where it's believed the video was recorded. NBC News is also aware of multiple reports of ransom notes sent to news organizations. No law enforcement agency has substantiated them, but they are being investigated. NBC News has not seen the notes.
A white female, 84 years of age, 5C medium build.
Now, 5 days after this police dispatch call that started the search for Savannah's mom, authorities are also looking into what appears to be blood found outside the home, according to two senior officials briefed on the investigation. Those officials also say Guthrie's pacemaker appears to have disconnected from its monitoring app in the early morning hours on Sunday, the day she was reported missing. President Trump reaching out to Savannah on the phone Wednesday and later posting, "I am directing all federal law enforcement to be at the family's and local law enforcement's complete disposal immediately. We are deploying all resources to get her mother home safely." In Tucson last night, a prayer service organized by some of Savannah's longtime friends. Shelly Shamrell and Savannah bonded 30 years ago while working at Tucson's local NBC station, and she says Nancy became like a second mom to her.
She is just the most loving, kind, warm, smart person who is so revered in this community.
A family, a community, and the entire nation now praying for Nancy Guthrie's safe return.
And as the search continues, investigators are still trying to figure out if they'll be able to recover any of the video footage from those overnight hours taken from Nancy Guthrie's surveillance cameras. Google, which owns Nest Cameras, tells us that they are now assisting law enforcement in that investigation. And we do hope to get more information on all of this later today. The Pima County Sheriff's Office is expected to give another update. Craig.
Liz Kreutz Force there in Arizona. Liz, thank you. We're joined now by Tom Winter, our national law enforcement correspondent, and NBC News law enforcement analyst Jim Cavanaugh. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen. Jim, I'll start with you. Savannah and her siblings, they put out this emotional video. SG saying, quote, "We are ready to talk. We are ready to listen." What would be the goal, Jim, in putting out a video like that? How could it potentially advance the investigation?
Well, this is the family reaching out, Craig, to the abductors and saying, look, first, let's talk about mom. Let's humanize mom. You know, she has grandchildren. They love her. Children, they love her. She's just a loving grandmother, mother. Humanize her. And the family talks about Nancy and humanizes her with the abductors because she's been just an object to the abductors, an object of their goal, which either is money or some messaging, or we don't quite know yet. So that's very important. I think it was excellent they did that. They need to humanize Nancy. And they also say, we're ready to listen. Here, the family, we want to listen. We want to hear what you want. Do you want money? Do you want a message? What is it you want? Tell us. We want to listen. And they talk about, the world of manipulated voices. In other words, they know about these ransom notes. They specifically discuss it. But there's manipulated voices, so we don't know if it's really the abductors. We don't know if it's really you. So reach out to us and let us know. And then, of course, they strengthen mom. They kind of close with strengthening mom. We're all looking. We're all here. We're not going to give up. So there's a lot of messaging there from the family. It's very, very good.
Jim.
The abductors, Craig, just to close, they went to a lot of effort to break in, to assault Nancy, to take her away, to hide her out. They went to a whole lot of effort. And now they have to close their circle for their goal, and that is they have to communicate. So the best thing they can do, their best options, the abductors, is to release Nancy, leave her at the foot of a church somewhere, a store, or take the step to communicate to see if you can reach your goal.
Jim, really quickly, does the family putting out that video, does that then confirm the authenticity of the ransom note or ransom notes?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
In fact, I think what the family's saying is it's still a question. There's a lot of manipulated voices. This could be someone in Kathmandu saying, send Bitcoin. we don't know who that is.
Okay.
In other words, the kidnappers took a lot of risk to do this. They're going to have to take an additional step to communicate if they want to reach their goal. I would expect that if they've seen this, I'm sure it's been everywhere, and they may drop a letter, a snail mail package with something. And once they can make the connection and there's some proof that they are the abductors, a piece of jewelry from Nancy, some hair, a picture, a video, then the communication can happen where they try to reach their goals, whatever that is. We don't even know, but that's what's going to happen. That's what should happen, or we want to happen, either the communication or release her. Yeah. If your crime has not worked, release her. I think, just to close, I think they got too big too fast. They took Nancy, whether they knew it was Savannah's mom or not, or they just thought it was a wealthy person, or they knew it was Savannah's mom. This thing got real big real fast. And so their concern now is the communication. You know, we're concerned about, we're apprehensive about doing it. And that's their decision right now. They got to either do it or release Nancy. That's their two best options.
All right, Tom, let me bring you in here. Authorities are holding this press conference a little later this afternoon. What are we expecting to hear? And also, what are investigators focusing on right now?
Yeah, I would like to get two key things here today. The first is any new fact from the investigation that doesn't compromise it, whether it's a detail of what happened that night, or, hey, we've had people calling in about this. We would like to know more about that, whatever that is that they're looking for. Perhaps an image, even if it's the most grainy image of a car that was leaving there. You look at a map, we have a map of generally of Nancy mom's house in that neighborhood. There are intersections all over this area. We've got a highway there in green. We've got even a larger map where we show you the interstates in the broader area of the Tucson. You're looking there at a key interstate that goes through there. All those major intersections, there are automated license plate readers. People hear license plate readers say, well, they're looking for a license plate. They need a specific detail. No. If somebody could call in and say, I saw that green Honda, that black Chevy Tahoe, whatever it is, they can feed that into the system. That might be very helpful as far as finding this person. The other thing that I think would be good to pick up on what Jim was saying is, if there was an easy way, Savannah is talking to you now, whoever did this. She's talking with you. It would be great if they could make it easy to find a way to get that person to talk to Savannah as well. You've got an opportunity for those two to talk, for there to be a proof of life, to get to a point here where there is a dialogue. If there's a dialogue, there's hope for Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jim. And, of course, we will bring you the very latest updates. NBC News will have live coverage of today's news conference from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And, again, we're asking anyone with any information, please call that phone number on your screen, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC, or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.